start the Rochester School Board meeting. Some of you have been here before, some of you have not. As the meeting is recorded, you are consenting to the recording by staying in the room. Remember, microphones are in the ceiling. They do pick up side conversations, so keep your side conversations to a nil. And Mr. Chairman, all you.
We'll come to order and flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice. Roll call. Neil.
Present.
Susan.
Here.
Francisco. Here. Heather.
Here.
All here. All right, jump to any public comments? Great. We'll check. Okay. All right, we'll jump to the consent agenda. Meeting minutes from last meeting. Personal updates, vouchers, payroll, contracts, supplemental contracts, and second reading of policies. Any discussion on any of those items or a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion to approve. Neil moves. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Heather. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So agenda passes. All right, we'll jump right to student representatives. Naomi and Zach, welcome.
Okay, so for boys basketball, that just ended. Tyson Canales was awarded first team all league with honorable mentions being LaShawn Hines and Clayton Knutson.
Lexi DuPont and Lizzie Hoover on the girls basketball team were both selected as the 1A Evergreen second team.
Our wrestling did great at state. All the wrestlers placed on the second day, with Maddox Rogers placing 6th in the state for his division. For spring sports, yesterday the high school hosted meetings for every sport happening this spring, and the first day of practices for those is next Monday. And then for our clubs and band senior night was February 6th, and they honored 3 band seniors and 2 choir members.
ASB took 22 kids on a field trip to Aberdeen High School to look around how they run leadership in ASB. And today, ASB has started advertising for our new Spring Fest on March 28th. This event will be held at the high school, having clubs, vendors, and food trucks. And most importantly, is an Easter egg hunt being put on by Cheer. And then our unified sports team had 2 great games and they played their hearts out. And then finally, I know this is a great thing, but our Native American club has submitted their club application. It is in your meeting minutes. Any questions?
Great job. Thank you. All right, move to the principal reports.
Right, so tonight we have our principals and assistant principals here. They're going to be sharing their mid-year SIP reviews, and we're starting with the high school. Sorry, Danny.
Go ahead, next slide. Okay, our first goal is we're focused on literacy, English language arts. We're trying to raise our Smarter Balanced Assessment score from 58 to 70% of students meeting or exceeding standard. Also aligns with strategic plan goal 3, demonstrate achievement for academics. We looked at the data last year and we are focused on, as a result of what we saw in our SBA scores, listening and the SBA reading of informational text. Next slide. We have spent at least 4 different professional development sessions working on metacognition, close reading, and effective test-taking practices. Teachers are implementing many of these in the classroom on a regular basis, and they've additionally begun modifying their assessments to look more similar to what they will encounter on the Smarter Balanced Assessment. So they're seeing that format more often so that when they encounter it, it's not the first time they're seeing it and they're prepared for it. Next slide. So this is data that we took. I took a small snapshot of 4 students. That's why that's their initials. So I blocked their initials out. That's why they have different symbols on them. So you can't tell which kid that is. And so what you look at when you're looking at the box is the first number is their score on the fall interim assessment. The second score is the one we did just here at the end of January, beginning of February. The next column indicates whether there was growth or lack of growth. And then the fourth column is, were they at standard during the fall testing window, and are they now at the testing standard? And that's based on the score of 2583, which is the cut score on the SBA when they take it as a 10th grader. You score 2583 or higher, you will be considered proficient. And that's considered the end of the year 10th grade. So at this point, 51% of our students are on schedule with their score at 2575. And between the growth and or proficiency, 90% of our kids have either demonstrated growth or proficiency. Next slide. This is math goal focused on our multilingual students. Last year, we did not have any of our multilingual students pass the SBA, so we are trying to increase that to 25%. We currently have 13 students in grades 9 and 10. I have to go back. The number for 10 is escaping me right now. I'll get that for you. So we're focusing, these are areas that our multilingual students struggled on the SBA. So those are the targets. Next screen. We have done 2 trainings with Ms. Izquierdo and using elevation to help our teachers understand the needs of our multilingual learners and the different strategies and tools they can use while in class to help them progress between what they're doing in math, what Ms. Izquierdo does in her classroom, and what we do as a school-wide. They are calling them in during CSR to provide extra instruction. They're using guided notes, and they're also putting them in a position where they're building communities where they feel more comfortable being a part of the lessons and being able to express themselves. Okay, next. A lot of stuff here. The numbers up above are our school-wide numbers. You'll see in the fall, 75% of our kids were below standard, 24 were near standard, and 1% were above standard. And their average score in the fall was 2480. Now the bottom right box there says 25. So they increased with their instruction in one semester, 26 points on their performance. But the real big thing is on the bottom there, our multilingual students. So there's 13 of them who have both a fall and a winter test. 12 of the 13 demonstrated growth from beginning of the semester to second semester. Their average growth was 102 points, almost 103 from fall to winter. If you take the 15 to 18 points that grow every year on the SBAs, that's 5 years of growth in one semester. That's a big jump. However, they started at 2,336, which is well below grade level. They're now at 2,438. We are attempting to get them to proficiency at 2,627, which is the ballpark. And that's on the interim for algebra linear functions is where we're pulling that data. Next one. Goal 3, improve respectful student interactions and staff and reduce referrals for leaving class without permission, failure to cooperate, and student altercations. Connected to future plan goal number 2, students feel safe, supported, connected, and engaged. Next slide. Key actions. We brought Stu Cave in twice now. The idea is we're trying to teach our students how to be the ones who control the culture at our school, so they engage in big elephant behavior. If you see a little elephant being a little elephant, the big elephants correct little elephants. So we did 2 whole school assemblies, and then we had a group of 125 to 130 students with him, and then he also worked with our staff. In addition, our student leadership and student government have increased their presence in activities, assemblies, and development of the Unified Sports Program. And this is some exciting data. Go ahead to the next slide. Leaving class without permission has gone down. Failure to cooperate has gone down. Altercations are up. So it's kind of a mixed bag with our Skyward data. We're working on that. What we've noticed is with the altercations there in unstructured times in the commons in the gym. And so we've increased adult presence in both of those spaces to try and be present, to be proactive rather than reactive. We also did our midwinter student voice survey, and that's what you see here. There's actually about 32 questions, but I pulled ones that are specifically 25 and 26 are on our SIP goal, and then 5 and 6 were just monstrously big growth. And so I threw those in there so you can see them. When you look at that, you say, I usually look forward to attending my classes. Students who disagreed with that statement decreased by 10 percentage points, which caused a small, they moved from somewhat disagree to somewhat disagree, but they really pushed over to somewhat agree, and even agree improved. And then this one I thought was really powerful. These are students recognizing that their peers are still doing their best even when it's difficult. And I think that's pretty awesome. When you look at the students feel like they're treating each other better, because that's what that data indicates, because we disagree is decreased by 6 points. Only 4 of those points went to the somewhat, so they keep pushing to the right. But we're still having a problem with students respecting staff. And so that's a challenge we're looking at. We're digging into that and trying to figure out what the next steps are there. And last slide. Monday night, we had our unified sports. And this is just a brief snapshot of everything you can see. Wonderful, our kids, our community, and just it's hard to put into words how awesome it was to see them and our community and our students all together. It was just an amazing event. 7:53. Question?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you know.
It's goal 3 data,
Mm-hmm.
giving permission, failure to cooperate, altercations.
Mm-hmm.
And you're asking the students, and this is the information you were getting back from them.
Well, so the leaving class, the failure to cooperate and altercations is our referral data. So teachers write up, or we put discipline assignments in for altercations, but kid leaves without permission, teacher submits a referral, and Miss Lincoln or I process it. So we're trying to get that decreased by 50%. And we're heading in that direction. Both of those numbers have gone down. Unfortunately, we've had issues with altercations. And so that's from Skyward. The other data is our student voice data. And so that's the framework you see up on the screen. That's from our student voice survey. They're 2 separate sources of information or data.
So are you asking the kids on Monday morning or Friday afternoon how their week's gone?
We actually did that on Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Mondays is grade check. We did this during our advisory. Monday is our grade check day and advisory. Tuesday is when we do our school links, and that's like we do surveys like this. There's things that we do on Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday is when we move students around for support for instruction. So if they're behind on an assignment or they're not doing well in class, the teacher can call them, and so they move on Wednesday and Thursday. So that was done Tuesday during the advisory.
Okay. And I see this thing about the altercations. Is that something that's referred through the teachers to you?
That's
or just the student?
Primarily me and Miss Lincoln. Or if we're not there, we're there shortly. It's out in the commons, our lunchroom, and then in the gym at lunch, because they're in there playing basketball or volleyball or playing soccer, or there's probably 7 or 8 different things going on at once in the gym during lunch. And so we've just doubled presence in those areas so that we can see things starting to get a little out of hand and we can intervene before we end up in an altercation.
Yeah. Yeah, I had concerns, and looking at some of the feedback I've seen from the local Facebook groups in our community, seems to be a conversation about bullying and how it's being reported, how the school administration is working with that. And then it's like the parents, these aren't the children, who is, who isn't. I just know we've had some disruptive behaviors previously, and I take bullying very seriously. And we need to make sure we have a safe and equitable place for all to learn. And
absolutely.
It's my main point. I'm probably going to say the same thing to the rest of the group.
They come to us, we handle it immediately.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on top of it, and yeah.
We've only had 1 harassment, intimidation, and bullying form filed this year.
Good. Glad to hear that. I'm concerned about the ones that aren't getting brought to your guys' attention. And, wonderful. Thank you. I have no more questions. What else?
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
If it's okay, with the board, Kevin is gonna go down and join the Gear Up team with visiting colleges in Oregon. So if you guys
Oh, nice.
like to go ahead and take on. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for your time tonight.
Drive safe, Kevin.
I'll be there.
This is like very excited to be on that. Feel free.
Justin, I think Justin just raised his hand and said. All right, next. Next, we have Mr. Baird from RMS.
All right, and so we'll get started here if you want to. There you go. All right, so our first SNP goal, so goal number 1 is 77% of our multilingual learner students will show typical or better growth on their iReady spring, the reading iReady scores from the measured at the spring. That's a summative test. We've given a fall and we've given a winter mid. And so what you're looking at is a set of 3 gauges, so to speak. You'll see the connection to a theme that we have going at school here. But with met means that they've already met their annual growth. 50% being that they are halfway to their annual growth number, and that progressing means that they are making some movement. They're not quite to halfway, but they're making some movement. So what that represents is around 27-ish kids, 48%, and then 5 and 5 is what the 11 and the 11.63. Next. So the key activities and strategies, what we have in place is we have our first period interventions. That's where our language interventions take place. We have a program called iReady Race to Progress that's spearheaded by our instructional coach, Mrs. Black. And so what this is that students that pass 10 iReady tests or iReady lessons, they get to join the race. And so if you come into RMS right at the main door, there's the racetrack, and there's about 299 cars on the racetrack so far. And Ms. Black goes through and moves the cars through. And so this has been a great thing to keep kids moving. And after they get 10, then they're invited to a celebration that happens normally on a Friday morning or during a lunchtime once a month. We've been also working towards full implementation of our RMS 5 strategies. You all can read them there. The biggest struggle that we're seeing with those is that they are not new. The staff chose them, but they are things that we don't see school-wide. And so just working on our professional development along those topics has been focused on showing new ways that they can implement, providing some new strategies to implement them. Maybe some refreshers on ideas of how to implement the strategies. And so that's that is up for that goal. If you'll advance, please. So this is our second goal. It mirrors kind of the first one, except the targeted group is students with IEPs, and 60% of those students will show better or typical growth from the fall to the spring. And then as you can see, similar, it's the same sort of meaning with the graph, that 27% have met, that 50% or we've got 6.7% are halfway there, and 10% are progressing, making some movement towards achieving it. I would say that I'm not comfortable in saying that we're on track for it. There's some stuff that we need to do to get us there. And we're doubling down on the RMS 5 field advance. It's the same strategies for both, really, that for these groups. Some data, though, some interesting data about the race to progress is that so far, like I said, we have 299 students that have already passed 10 lessons. The top iReady lesson passer is a 6th grader that has passed 149 lessons as of yesterday morning. So you want to talk about being invested. What that translates into, it's not just, wow, he's, they are way out in the front. It's that now they're actually at grade level in both areas. They started the year below grade level. There are 7 students that have already passed over 100. So kids are trying to catch up with them. Right now, to be in the top 40 of iReady lesson passers, a student would have to pass at least 50 lessons. And then, so there's, 32% of our 6th graders, 28% of our 7th graders, and 42% of our 8th graders have already made their typical growth in math this year. So school as a whole grade level set And then 55% of our sixth graders, 46% of our seventh graders, and 45% of our eighth graders have already met the typical growth goal in reading. So kids are progressing. There's other charts and data that got shared with me late, but there's a lot of kids that have made a lot of growth it's more than a year's growth in just 6 months' time. So there's a lot of good things going on when it comes to instruction school-wide. Next, please. Okay, and so what you're looking at here is Mrs. Parsons, one of our seventh grade teachers in social studies. She hosted some families to come in, some parents to come in and engage in an activity with their students. And so this actually started out last year as a kind of a 3 o'clock in the morning idea that she had, and she ran to the grocery store and bought all these supplies for students to recreate the 5 regions of Washington on a graham cracker using different food materials to represent those things. And this is a activity she did last year. It was just kids, obviously, because that'd be really short notice for parents. But just as a way to kind of formatively assess whether or not students are on track for their summative assessment on that topic. This year, she decided, because she's working on parent involvement and how to get parents engaged in learning with their student, she invited parents in. This is the second time she's actually invited parents in this year to come and enjoy. And the parents actually learned a lot about the 5 regions of Washington. So that is it. Good.
Questions from the board? Questions? That's a question about on the set goal 2 with the gauges. The 27% met, 6%, 50%, 10% progressing. Those percentages across the bottom total about 44%. Where's the 64%?
So the other 60%, yeah, that's the tough one to swallow, is that those students are not progressing. And iReady is a tough one because some students are apathetic towards the test, and also included in this number 2 is our students with life skills. They won't necessarily take the iReady. So they get lumped in there, and so they show up as a 0 number. But yeah, it is, like I said, I'm not happy about that, but it is, the data is the data. So
yeah, I appreciate the aspirational goal, but we don't have 60% even represented on the gauges yet.
Yeah,
it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same goal as last year. So.
Questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You get to eat the lemon pepper.
Oh, and then the students get to eat them. Students have to eat it.
But they have to answer questions first.
Last year's. If they can't answer it, then they can.
Yeah.
So sad.
Oh, you got it? All right, awesome.
We should do it, right?
Okay. Let's talk grand now. Wow. So, our first SIP goal talks about this idea of increasing the amplifier percentage. So I don't know if you remember this conversation. An amplifier is someone that's high in both teacher credibility. So do the students think, yeah, I can learn from this teacher, right? They see them as credible, as well as our collective efficacy as a school. So this belief that, no matter what student comes to us, their needs, we can make sure that they learn at high levels. So at the beginning of the year, we were at 64%. We were hoping 80% by the end of the year, and we gave this matrix assessment to all of our staff, and 96% self-identified as being amplifiers. So super excited about that. You can see how it aligns to our strategic plan as well, in terms of students safe, supported, connected, and engaged. So how, I bet you're wondering, right? How did we do that? That's amazing. Just super proud of our staff have really just demonstrated being vulnerable, having these dialogues about trust. What do we hope? What do we hope for ourselves? Our fears that we have, and just like I said, just being vulnerable and pushing that judgment to the side that maybe, you know, how they might be perceived by their peers. Can't be more excited about our staff and just, you know, their willingness to open up and share with one another. We've collaborated in all sorts of different ways. You know, within our grade levels are usually pretty good about that. And like departments usually are pretty good about that, but we've, you know, had some different grade levels come together, you know, working with different departments. And so the idea there is that the more people collaborate, work with one another, get to know each other, we can trust each other in a professional way as well. So.
And goal number 3 was we wanted to decrease our discipline referrals from 964 in the 24-25 school year to less than 400. And I will tell you, I checked our referral data today and we are currently at 394. So we're getting awfully close to exceeding our goal. That's because we here at Grand Mound, we overachieve everything. Yes. But as you can see, it aligns to strategic plan goal number 2, making sure that students are feeling safe, supported, connected, and engaged. But one thing that I find really interesting is if you look at the graph that's projected on the screen, the blue line is our referral data from last school year. And the red line is our data from this year. So even though we're seeing like a big decrease in the number of referrals, even though we're still overachievers, the trend line is really similar. We see a peak in October. That's when the schoolwork starts getting hard. You know, we're not doing the relationship building stuff as much anymore. It's still there, but it's not the main focus like it is in September. And so we start noticing that behaviors amp up because the expectation of the students is higher and they're still getting used to it in October. Then you'll notice that dip in December, and that's simply because we don't have that many school days in December. So the number has to dip down if we're doing things right, which I think we are. February, we're on trend to keep on increasing past January. You know, life is tough in February for a student, and March they're going to get real spicy because the spring fever is the thing. But it does drop down in April. In May, it kicks back up a little bit, and then June, we're only in school for a few days, so it drops down quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how that trend goes as the year goes along. Next slide, please. The reason why we're seeing this success right now, our foundations team meets twice a month, every other Tuesday, and we're also sending out a monthly newsletter now, which is new as of January, so a whole 2 months in. We're working on clarifying and supporting teachers with Tier 1 behavior implementation. We're going to really focus next year in particular on that school-wide use of our social emotional curriculum, and then also giving teachers a checklist for what behavior expectations they have in their class in terms of like just Tier 1 classroom management and instructional practice. And then also we want to clarify student and teacher access to Tier 2 behavior supports. Right now, our staff have expressed to us that it's a really muddy world working in behavior, which I will never be able to take all of the mud out of behavior, but it just shows us that Dan and I need to work even more on clarifying our system and how do teachers get access from Tier 1, I can handle this in my classroom, to Tier 2, okay, we need some intervention from, you know, the principal or the dean from this. Next slide, please. And then our celebration. So if you recall last time we chatted, I told you about the Toodle tournament, and I'll remind you that the Toodle is the opposite of a tattle. So rather than letting your teacher know about something naughty that somebody else did, you're telling them about all the great things that are happening in your classroom. So to wrap up our Toodle tournament conversation from last time, as a school, we wrote over 2,600 Toodles, and 4th and 5th graders were super overachievers. They each wrote over 1,000 of them as a grade level. So that was pretty incredible. So we're thinking about, okay, what can we do in order to increase our students following behavior expectations as a building? We came up with the Warrior Way Carnival. So the Warrior Way Carnival, we're tracking students' discipline referrals that they get from February 9th all the way up until the carnival on March 27th. And students gain entry into the carnival by having no level 3 referrals, which those are your suspensions, and those are the big behaviors. And then a maximum of 3 level 2 referrals, which those are considered our moderate behaviors that the teacher does need to access administrative support for that. And when I say level 3 and level 2 behaviors, those are based on the level behavior menu that all of the schools in Rochester School District have, but this is the one tailored specifically for our school. Does anyone have any questions?
I like your notebook LM graphics.
Thanks.
I recognize it because I use a lot myself.
Google Slides came out with a new button and it says beautify this slide. Y'all should click it in your free time. It's so fun.
Good stuff. Any questions?
Oh, I tried to read the little side thing over here and I tried to blow it up and I don't think I can get it any bigger. January 2026, we've had 67 disciplinary issues.
Yes, we did in the month of January. And if you would like, I can send you an electronic link to that so you can zoom in and see.
I got it.
You did the
I've
zoom
got it
in,
like
nice, good job.
350%. Or excuse me, 300%, trying to get that one part of the screen over here so I can read it. It was a disruptives 13. Yeah, I guess I should probably have you send it to me. So I can, yeah, because I can't quite, I don't want to state the wrong things, but just trying to, I like the other graph that Grant was describing too. It's the carnival. And so out of all these 67 disciplinary offenses, how many of those kids don't get to go to the carnival?
Well, technically none of them from January because we started tracking their behavior on February 9th. However, I did do a check today. We have about 5 kids in the entire school that have lost the opportunity to go to the Warrior Way Carnival. So they'll be doing an alternate activity when the carnival's happening, reflecting on how can they be safe, respectful, and responsible at school while the rest of their class is having fun at the carnival.
Well, that's a bonus. Give them something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, more behavioral issues that we need to continue to address. How is absenteeism doing?
We are moving in the right direction. I actually have a list of about 10 parents that I need to call tomorrow. My attendance secretary pulled a tardy report and we have about 10 kids. We have about 10 kids that have missed over 4 days of school just based on their tardies to school. And so I'd like to call and reach out to the families and get a little bit more information as to why we're struggling to get to school on time, if there's any barriers that, the school can provide or that the RISE Center can provide. Really just working on getting kids to school on time, as well as our kiddos that are chronically absent for reasons.
Yeah, and I'll just add to, that's just one of our foundational beliefs in the school about collaboration. And so whether that's collaborating with families, over around these behavior issues, or we talked about the connections in terms of us believing, that we can help all students achieve at high levels. And that information that came from the behavior data and what our challenges are those came from our leadership team, that provided us with that feedback. So again, people hopefully feeling safe enough to be able to provide that feedback for us, and also trusting that we're going to respond to it as well. So yeah, we think we're continue to move in the right direction.
Well, I appreciate it. But all these different things that we all get to absorb and try to understand what works best in our situation, in our district. And yeah, it's important. I want the kids to make sure they feel included. You know, but they want to come to school. They don't want to be targeted, and it's not a bullying situation. I mean, kids are kids, and some are just mean kids, and some kids come to want to learn. So, you know, like I said, there's lots of dynamics in play. And thank you.
Question. Just a quick question. Your foundations team, you send out a monthly newsletter. Is that to the staff or is that to parents?
Right now, it's to staff.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Willing to pivot at any point.
Just curious. More communication with parents, the better, I guess.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
I did not hit the beautify button. I was afraid all my work would be lost forever. But I'm Danny Kearns. I'm the principal at Rochester Primary School, and I'm happy to report to you today. Our first goal, and I think we shared with you a little bit about this before winter break, but our goal is to have students be proficient in the number and operations domain in iReady. So proficient means in the green zone. We've been looking at our middle of year, MOY, and end of year data. At this point in the year, 91% of our student body is completed with the mid-year. Kindergarten took the test a little bit later than our first and second grade classrooms. So they're not quite done, but we're at 28% proficiency at mid-year, which is around where we were last year. Now, our goal to get to 80%, we are well aware that this is probably more than 1 year of work in math. We're really just kind of dipping our toes into math this year to get some things short up around tier 1. But some of the strategies we've used, next slide, please. One of them, a key activity, has been our unit planning. So I'm sure Dr. Beckman's talked to you a bit about the work we've done with Maria Nielsen around our 15-day challenge and our unit planning that's being done within our PLCs. During this time, our grade level teams work together to make sure our instruction is intentional and aligned to the essential standards that have been identified for math. It's a really awesome stepped process that she's put together that our teams go through as they unpack those standards and then decide what are our common formative assessments for these standards going to be within our unit. What lessons are we going to teach as we get to that standard, and what learning targets do students need to meet during each lesson? So really clear on that tier 1 instruction for math at each of our grade levels. We've also aligned our student growth goals to math this year, and that's through the Marzano evaluation framework, where Nicole and I get to observe our staff and then doing some really intentional work around math instruction while we're doing that, and the student growth goals within that are aligned to math. So we're all in the same boat going the same direction, which has been very helpful. And then the data tracking within that unit planning has also been important as we're making plans to meet kids where they are for math and how we can help them. An example of that, this is a kindergarten unit plan for math. So within their unit planning, and a lot of them look like this across our building, there's a group of teachers working together. I mean, I just can't call enough attention to the fact that the things that we're doing at RPS are not just myself, not just Nicole, but it's all of us. Like, there's a group of people making this work happen. And so the kindergarten teachers have put this together where they've identified their bolder standards. The green standards are, these have to be known. Our kids need to master these by the end of this year. Yellow, they're rocks. We're teaching them and they're important, but they're not the mastery standards. And butterflies, Justin does a beautiful butterfly interpretation. Butterflies, those are, we touch down, we go. Well, we're touching them, but they're not the core. But you can see how they mapped out their lessons. In the bottom right, you can see where the CFA, or the Common Formative Assessment, is linked. That's the assessment they're all giving. And each day has a learning target. And if you come into our classrooms, you're going to see this magic happening in each of our spaces. So there's consistency across classrooms. That's huge for our kids. If you want to hit the next one, a sample of data. And I didn't get a lot because this can get very in the weeds, but I wanted to bring to light that it's not just the iReady assessment we're using to track data, but the common formative assessments our teachers are giving. This is a first grade SNP. All the teachers have all of their kids listed by student, by standard, and the CFA that's administered for addition and subtraction fluency, adding and subtracting fluently within 20 across the year so far. You can see how we've gone from reds within this assessment to greens and how the teachers are tracking this information, whether it's addition or subtraction or mix across time, and monitoring student progress. And that's every teacher for this standard. So this is one of our die on the hill. We know what our kids are doing, adding and subtracting fluently within 20, which is awesome. So you can go to the next one. For reading, we're looking at the phonics domain in iReady. The phonics domain, we're trying to get from 71% to 80. Mid-year, all grade levels have finished K2, and we are at 50%. So it's 3% better than mid-year last year. If we get to 80, we're going to have a huge celebration, and you will all be invited. We are just hoping that we're going to get there, but they're putting in so much hard work to make that happen. And some of the strategies we're using is this idea of building tier 1 through tips, and also bringing to light, again, this work doesn't happen in isolation with Nicole and I. Diane Fast is just invaluable. She does so many things for us, but she is leading a group of teachers about every 4 weeks through a learning walk, or a teacher's teaching together in practice for success. She's calling it tips. She themes everything. But they're going into each other's classrooms with these look fors. If you go to the next slide, they get to decide on their area of focus within tier 1 instruction of phonics. What's the area I want to focus on? And I'm going to go into another teacher's classroom and see evidence of student engagement in that task and take notes while that observation's happening. They debrief with Diane afterwards and answer the debrief questions. Every time they've gone through this process, they've come back saying, oh my goodness, it's so nice to see this being taught in another teacher's classroom. I've grabbed 3 things I'm bringing back to my room to use tomorrow. So it's that job embedded PD with that high level of accountability that's getting us really robust tier 1 phonics instruction. And Diane leads that conversation so well. And our teachers, the area of focus, I brought the packet if you want to see all of them. It's not just opportunities for students to respond, but there are other areas of focus within that time. And it's been awesome. So that again, it's not just iReady. We're also tracking student data. This is Oakley. And yes, her mom and dad said I could share this information. I did cover student A, and again, interventions don't happen by just myself. Mrs. Todd is absolutely amazing at this work. We get to share her with Grand Mound. You can see Oakley's been working on her reading. She started in a Sunday group. Mrs. Todd gave me some notes so that I would know. She was in Sunday lesson 3 for her spelling words with a given pattern. She was 15 out of 20, right? Reading words with that pattern, she was at 18 out of 20. And you can see the progression over the course of the year, then into November, then into January, late January. By the 6th of February, she's proceeded from a Sunday group to a PLL group, which is Skill 2.2, which is her CVC words, which is huge growth for her over the course of the year. Ms. Todd is keeping this level of data on every student who receives tier 2 or tier 3 interventions at Rochester Primary School. It's a huge undertaking. And each one of these kids has a file of data of tracking of how they've been doing reading. And every time I meet with her, it's amazing how she knows these kids and what they need next. And I just wanted to highlight the work that she's doing. She's a key piece to why this works. But our kids are making growth, and Oakley's doing amazing. We call her toothless because she lost her teeth last year. That's 8 minutes. All right, homeschool celebration. Here we go. I know I lose every time. I wanted to celebrate Nicole today, so I didn't have her present. Nicole Kernet brings a lot of fun to our school. You talked about why do kids want to come to school. At RPS, we really believe that it's because it's fun. Mrs. Kernet loves Disney, and she's brought Disneyland to our school. This is our Warrior Way extravaganza. There was a little video there. We, like GMES, have some activities planned where students earn admission based on behavior. They're big activities. This one was a recess takeover. And we walked out onto the playground last Monday, and wouldn't you know it, that order we put in for snow came through. It didn't cost us a thing, but you would have thought that it was the biggest highlight. Those kids are going to remember that day. They'll be seniors. Remember the day we went out there and it snowed and we got to play whatever we wanted? There was a bubble tunnel. They're going to remember. And that's what we want to create, is those memories that just last, So this was awesome. 98% of our kids made it. And what the kids that didn't make it got to do, next slide, was some goal setting. So they're doing, what are some things that I can work on, focused on problem solving. They worked with our counselor, Miss GK, and they're going to continue to do a tier 2 intervention between this time and the next time where they're meeting in with her and focusing on those goals. How can we improve so that we do get to make it to the next event? But beyond that, the other fun things are her themed recesses and many others. But that was one of our big celebrations. When it snowed, it was just, I texted Dr. Beckman and Justin, it's snowing and it's amazing. And here's the video. And it was just awesome.
And we'll never be able to top.
Nope. No. Next year, they're gonna be like, but you didn't get snow. But any questions for us?
What grade level is Oakley?
What was that?
What grade level is Oakley?
She's a
in?
first grader.
She's a first grader. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
she's a first grader. Miss Billings, Miss Hudson's back. Yeah. Any other questions? Our attendance is really good too, Mr. Turner, just.
You'll see in the last 2 weeks with illness, we've had a lot of students sick, but yeah, we're on a trend. I'm excited to see the report and look at it. We're on a good trend upward for me the last years.
All right, thank you.
Look forward to the 80%. Sorry.
Yeah. Best kind of snow.
Yes.
Years, it doesn't stick around.
Athletics, good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I'd like to welcome Heather and Francisco to the board. Welcome. To me, it's amazing how fast the years gone by. We're already in season 4 and spring sports start on Monday. So it's been kind of a whirlwind. So like I do, I want to give you just a snapshot of a comparison from last year to this year with boys basketball. To start with boys basketball at the middle school, and our numbers, they don't really change a whole lot. We've been the last few years been increased by 2, been increased by 3. This year we're down by 4 in comparison to last year, but it was still enough for 4 teams. Fortunately, Ray Holmes, he kind of stepped away when Sue retired last year, and we were struggling to find a coach that's impactful with kids and does a nice job. And he was willing to come out of retirement for both girls and boys basketball. So he's down, and we want to keep him close just in case we run into the same struggle again next year. We're moving on into season 4, which is boys soccer and volleyball, and you can see the number comparison there. It's right in the same ballpark. We've got 2 teams, 7th and 8th varsity and the 7th and 8th JV, and we started this Monday with season 4. Volleyball continues to be large. It's just simply large. There's no way around it. The last 3 years, and I think some of it has to do with maybe growing out of some of the COVID, but we've been 70 plus the last 3 years. And really what's amazing about how the volleyball coaches are able to construct safe practices in that gym with that many bodies is amazing. I would say that if you're going to show up and just, be a part of that at any level, you bring a hard hat and goggles. It's going to be safer for you. They had a cool opportunity this week. So this week's I would call it a dead week at the high school in the sense that there's nobody in the gym. So what we did with the 8th graders, we had them bus to the high school from Monday to through tomorrow to be on the big floor, 2 nets in the big floor, give them a taste of that. Plus it also allows for, an introduction to the volleyball season with less bodies in the same space. But we will have 6 teams, 5 coaches coaching 6 teams and on a rotation to pick up that 6 team where their games are. Volleyball is alive and well for sure. And then just a snapshot, track will begin, I think, on the 13th of April. What's the Monday we come back? Is that ish? 13th. And right now, those are the current numbers. And of course, as this with all sports has been my experience, you get some late entries that come in. But in terms of boys, girls, there's not a great deal of separation in some of those co-ed sports, which is good to see.
So winter athletics. So bowling had some excitement this year. We got back to state for our second time in bowling. We had 16 bodies out, just one off from where we were last year. 10 of those individuals are multi-season sport athletes. I also like to kind of give you just a kind of where the grades are within each varsity program. They received the Distinguished Team Award from WIAA with a 3.104-105 GPA. We have some accolades later with bowling, but let's just go down the sports for winter. So boys wrestling, a little bit down from last year, but impactful. 22 of those athletes are multi-season sports. And although that particular program didn't earn with a GPA enough to get acknowledged by WIA, they were just barely off. So I didn't want to leave a gap there. So I thought I'd show that 53% of the winter athletes are multi-season sports in our winter time. Girls wrestling, we had enough this year, and it's been some time to hit the number to where we could actually call ourselves a team. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And we had some really, really strong wrestlers, and each of those women are multi-season athletes. Girls basketball, down a little bit from last year. But again, numbers of those are multi-season athletes as well. And so if we go back to girls wrestling, they had the outstanding award. So WIAA, so 3 point to 3.49, you're distinguished, and 3.5 and above, you're outstanding. So that's exciting. Girls basketball, they had a 3.382, so they're distinguished. Boys basketball, down just a little bit from last year. Athletes all over the place in multi-season, they received a distinguished award of 3.252. And winter cheer, smart group of gals there, 24, which is spot on from last year. So, and most all those gals too are multi-season athletes. So here's some of the accolades. So bowling, we got back to state again this year. We didn't make it as a team, 4 go out of district, and I think we placed 8th, but we had 2 bowlers stand out. One repeat bowler, and Natalie Southard. She was our league tournament champion. She was voted, this is back-to-back years, league MVP. I think she was in top 10 bowlers. I think out of district, she was 4th best bowler across 15 different school districts. The varsity roster, you can see there in their averages. One exciting moment in the district bowling was with sophomore Lily Richter. She was tied, 10 individuals go to state out of district, and she was tied in that 10th spot. And so she had to have a 1-frame roll off. And she beat a Tumwater gal. Anytime we can take one from Tumwater, we're going to choose to do that. And so she got to go, and they both had a really exciting time. I think I had a number somewhere. Okay, down at the bottom. Out of 124 bowlers at state, Natalie did finish 15th. And Lily finished 48th. But they had a really good time. I say it every year. I've been around a lot of bowling as I'm the commissioner, but it's the most jovial, energized group of athletes that you can be around. Doesn't matter if you're an opponent, you're high-fiving, you're a good job, you know, these kind of, it's not cutthroat like some of the other sports can be. So it's a really, really fun energy. So that was exciting. Girls basketball, well, they continue to grow. Comprised of 2 juniors, 5 sophomores, and 4 freshmen were our varsity team, and there's your roster. You can go ahead and read that. A little bit of the growth we can acknowledge as we build is we've got 2 more wins this year than we did last year. I think one of the things that Coach Rivas does really well is keep focus on morale. One, I think she does a nice job of putting emphasis on the need for things to be fun, which can be done with some team bonding. when you have years in not years in a program, but years in a season where wins are coming hard, you got to find a way to keep the things glued together. And I think she does a nice job doing that. We did have two, as you guys always steal my thunder. You steal a piece of my thunder every time. Is there ever a time maybe I go before? But anyway, you guys already mentioned it, but both juniors, Lexi and Lizzie, voted second team all-league. And you can see our scoring leader with 271 points across 21 ball games, an average of 13.6 with Lexi. And close behind Lizzie, second league score with 201, averaging 11.3. Boys basketball, Coach Sells voted co-coach of the year. Those of you who don't know Coach Sells, you may know that, may not know that to start the season, he was navigating some medical things, that could have been real serious, and he just never let off the gas pedal. He worked through that. We were able to video practices that he was able to analyze and break down, and still continue to talk with assistant coaches, knowing that he was going to come back, and he came back just before we went to the Christmas or winter vacation. And he did it. He's doing an absolute fabulous job. It's not a surprise that he's co-coach of the year. We made the district bracket this year with the play-in game, which is something that we haven't been able to do since 2012. Let's see here. He put his floor together this year. We have some talent come up with the freshman class, and he had some confidence in some young people, and they gelled and they were competitive and just missed some wins. So the record really doesn't tell the story of the growth of the year. But our starting five consisted of one senior, a sophomore, and three freshmen. So those individuals are going to be coming back, which is exciting for the program. And again, we're building. All league first team, Tyson Canales, he's a freshman. And then your honorable mentions with Deshaun and Clayton. And then you have your top three scorers with their numbers and their averages. You even got Clayton in the picture. Wrestling, coaching staff of the year. Highlights would be, I've already shared one, that the girls had the numbers necessary to be called a team. Had 3 go to state this year, fell short of the podium, but really proud to have them there. 2 seniors and 1 freshman. Kenna Pratt got to go back, wrestled really tough. League finishes state class. So Kenna finished out of league 8th, Jaylene was 8th, and Bella Crawford 3rd. With the guys, the number that you see there is a league number. Chris, he was league champion. Josh Long, he was league champion. Josh had an unfortunate circumstance at state. So he had a first round bye, won his second match, which put him in the quarterfinals, and woke up the next morning and his right hand, his boxer knuckle, like up to his wrist, it was swollen and ballooned. And he had to medically default to wrestle, and we got to get an infection. He had a cut on his hand weeks ago, and it ended up getting aggravated in the match that he was in. But the beautiful thing about that is Josh, he's this big strapping farm kid that's a junior, and he's going to be back. And for a first year wrestler he did this year, it's pretty amazing. Let's see, Maddox Rogers, he took second at league, King second, Leah Malter 3rd, and Lincoln Bernard was an alternate. So we've got some young kids that are going to come back, and I'm pretty confident they're going to make some more noise next year. And then there's a picture of Maddox on the podium, wrestling, and there's a team picture there. I kind of uglied it up. I'm on the far left there, so I didn't really zoom in so everybody can see that, but that's us at the Tacoma Dome. How many in here have been to Mat Classic? Yeah, it's a pretty amazing place with 24 mats, and And 5 classifications rolling through there over the course of 3 days. It's a marvel, the organization that goes into that and how it flows. But, you know, this time of year, wrestling is just brutal as it is. But I was working for WIA on the floor around the mats, and these kids, they have cuts and butterfly stitches and gauze up one nostril and, you know, and compression tape and athletic tape and bruises and, but real hungry to do what they're doing and having a good time, but goodness sakes, they're beat up by this time. Wow. Susie knows how they get beat up. No. And winter cheer, gosh, we couldn't do it without them.
Maddox broke a record.
Oh, I missed that one. Yeah, Maddox broke the all-time high school pin record with 32. And the previous record holder was Lucas Eastman, one of his coaches. So kind of bittersweet for Lucas, but he can claim that he had something to do with that. He's still in that conversation. And then winter cheer, certainly proud of what they do. They work hard. They look terrific. They are the energy when there isn't any. And I wanted to really put the student section in the middle because they really help make that happen. So we couldn't be more proud of them. They sure look sharp, and they put together some halftime shows this year that were just outstanding. That's winter. Any questions? I didn't time myself. No one's ever asked me to time myself. I buy donuts for a year.
You don't get the donuts.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, you're welcome. You bet.
Right.
Nice.
So our February enrollment count decreased a little to 1,994 FTE. That's pretty typical to have that drop in February because of the semester change. We have 54 students participating in Running Start, 21 are Running Start only. Heart had an increase to 29 students. Our sped count is 368, and there are 12 kids eligible to be counted in the dropout re-engagement program. This is just a visual of that with the red line with the red arrow of where we're at trend-wise over the past few years. For our budget status, so at the end of January, the percent of the year complete is about 42. Our revenues are at 38, which is again normal because our local revenues will increase in April again. And our federal revenues are a month behind, and our expenditures are right at 42%. Some more detail of our general fund. So at the end of January, our ending fund balance was just over 2.6 million. And you can see that about 450,000 of that is committed to restricted revenue, which is programs like LAP, CTE, TK, those types of things. And the rest is committed to our fund balance policy. Over on the right, you can see that our fund balance policy calls for an 8% to 11% unrestricted fund balance, which ranges from 3.2 to 4.5. So we are under that at this point in time, but that's really just because the way of revenues come in at a different pace. And the last one is the 5 funds. General fund again at 2.6 million. Our capital projects fund at 3.9 million. Debt service at 848,000. Our ASB fund at 662,000. And transportation vehicle at 261,000. You will see in February that decrease because at the last board meeting, you approved the purchase of a new van that will be used out of the transportation vehicle fund. So you will see a decrease next month. Any questions?
Tracking, should continue to track lower through April and then get the bump back.
Yep, so we'll get a big bump in April because that's when we get our next levy payment. And then you get bumps in July and August because that's when the new biennium for the state happens. So that's when they give us the most amount of revenue throughout the year for our state money.
Questions for Jill?
You won.
You are awesome.
Place.
Show them how it's done.
All right, and a few things, tonight, Unified Sports, it's been mentioned a couple times, but I just want to reiterate what a wonderful night it was. I know many of the board members were there, as many people who are here tonight. Just a fabulous night, put smiles, I think, on all of our faces to see all of our kids working together and.
The refereeing was a little suspect.
You were worried about that, huh? I didn't get any pictures of him, that was.
Well done.
I do want to just note the proposed state budgets. So the House and Senate have put out their state budgets. And there are some concerns in there, and I've been working to reach out to our legislators. They've talked about right now in both of the budgets, they've talked about a reduction in transition to kindergarten by about 25%, and then some increased requirements to the students who could be in transition to kindergarten in one of the budgets. So just a real concern, because that transition to kindergarten program really provides a great foundation for so many kids who are not ready for kindergarten, but because of the transition to kindergarten program, they are by the time they get to that kindergarten point. So one area of concern. The other is a reduction in the LEA or levy equalization. That what is right now in the budgets would mean $150,000 reduction to our budget if the budgets that are currently being proposed go through, which is another significant hit. And then just a note, this is the other area that I'm having conversations, and it's around MSOC, our material supplies up and operating costs. And there is no additional funds for MSOC. The costs keep rising. I think our insurance is up 18% next year. And we aren't getting any additional, so that's just an example. MSOC covers insurance, covers electricity, things like that, which are all rising. And with an 18% increase, we're not getting any additional money from the state to cover that. You can see in 24-25, we had a deficit from the state of $518,000 that we had to pay for our MSOC costs that the state didn't deliver. So ongoing conversations with our legislature, but if you have any conversations with the legislator and want to talk about these areas, they would all going to be areas that would impact the district. And then want to just note the superintendent search. So still going on. The board has identified and is working with Northwest Leadership there we go, Association as a consultant to search for a new superintendent. They still are seeking input from the community. There's a survey link right there on the slide. You can also access the survey on the website. The last bullet on this page says there's more information on the website. So in addition to the big carousel survey link that you can see if you just watch the top pictures zoom through, there's actually a link to a page now on the website with information about the search. So you can go there and find a link to the survey as well. The board wants to hear, and I think, they want to hear what our community wants in their next superintendent. So it's a great place to go and just provide input. Staff and community forums were held last week. And then I just want to note that the staff and community forums will be held again with the finalists. So when they're going through the interview process the last week of March, again, there will be forums for people to come in and provide some feedback on the candidates. Anything to add to that?
Echo, yeah, we need your input. Thoughts.
Okay. And then some dates. Safe and Sober auction is this Saturday. So again, this Saturday, it's at the high school. I didn't put that up there. Safe and Sober auction this Saturday at the high school. I've said it 3 times now. Everybody's heard it. Doors. Saturday, yes. The doors open at 4:00. But the auction officially begins at 6. So you can pace yourself and decide when you want to be there. I believe there's a food truck or 2 that's going to be out there before they can get food before things. But come and support the seniors and support their Safe and Sober night that they get on graduation night. Our next school board meeting is on the 25th. And then we have conference week, March 3rd. 30th through April 3rd. Those are half days each day that week for our kids. And then we have spring break, April 6th through 10th. That's it.
Fun, they have fun.
Yes.
All I would suggest is any teachers that do not live in our local community, feel free to reach out to your legislators about our budgets that are going on. Because I'm the ledge rep and it's like, the people that I'm talking to are like, yeah, well, we're not in charge. And so people that are in other districts, up north, feel free to reach out to your legislators because, yeah, it's not good. And the M-Stock stuff drives me nuts too. I think it's all I have for you.
Right, before we move to new business, student reps, principals, you are welcome to stay. Also know, you have lives, maybe funner things, more fun things to do. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for coming.
Record it. Get out.
All right, we'll jump to new business. First reading of board policies. Have 5.
Review anything you'd like, but if there's any questions, if not, we can go ahead and.
We went through these work session as well. Any discussion here? We'll just move past them. And they'll be on our agenda for passage next time. Okay. All right, we have an overnight trip request, FBLA state competition.
There's this is a 3-night overnight trip for FBLA to go to Spokane. This is the state competition for them, and we have 14 students who will be traveling over there to compete.
Oh, about 11,000, not 97. I would move to approve the FBLA overnight trip. Did I hear a second? I can second. Francisco, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Trip is approved. Okay, next on our agenda is a monetary donation. We have a donation from Olympia Federal Savings, $2,900. Very nice. Let's see if there's anything on the donation itself. Doesn't necessarily specify, just for the Rochester School District. Recipient for the month of January, $2,900. Comes to Olympia Federal Savings. Again, I'll move to accept the donation. You get a second?
I'll second.
Heather second, all right. Any discussion? Other than thank you. And we'll get a card.
Yep, should have had that, sorry.
Yep. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donation accepted, thank you. All right, next up is our resolution number 2503, capital levy. So the resolution concerning the proposition to fund safety and critical infrastructure improvements. This proposition would authorize the district to levy the following excess taxes on the taxable property within the district. Places deteriorating water system serving Rochester High School, Grand Mound Elementary, Rochester Primary School, including fire protection, water storage improvements for safe drinking water, school facility preservation, fire life safety. As we know, the last over a year, but certainly last several months, this has been one of the things we've been most concerned about. Keeping maintained, but also being able to keep our doors open has been at risk. So this levy would go on the April.
Correct, April 28th.
Got the wording all done and ready to go. Now, at this point, if we pass this is when we can't talk about this anymore.
Can't say yes. Can't tell people how to vote.
Right. Okay. I remember there was a
We
cutoff
compare
date.
information.
Somebody asked.
So we got resolution is attached there in your packet.
Can you make a motion to approve?
Please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve
Neil, do I hear seconds?
I'll second.
Susan seconds, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item is the new RHS Club, Native American Club.
Love it.
We're going to talk about that. Is it-
they're not here to talk about it, but Zach did mention that the ASB has approved this club already at the high school. And it's our Native American students, our Title VI program, and they are hoping to bring the Native American cultural elements into the school. And then just help other kids learn more about that. So.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I can second. Second. Any discussion?
No, I really like the club and I think it's a good idea. I think it's
Great idea.
a great idea to the Chehalis tribe, just kind of meshing and I guess making students feel included. And hopefully kind of bridging that between the tribe and the school and trying to get people to feel proud of their heritage. That's
Looking forward to Friday. That's me.
The donut.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's approved. All right, now we're moving into public comment section for things not on the agenda. Oops. Call you up. Nikki. Yeah, 3 minutes.
I'm trying. Everybody else went over. All right. I'm Vicki. I am the president of Rochester Education Association, which is the teachers union, basically. And I just wanted to, I'm just going to read this because it's easier to read. As we head into another busy spring of bargaining, preparation for the next, or for the end of this year, and the beginning of the next, and the upcoming change in leadership at a couple levels, I found myself unsure about how to convey my thoughts about it all, but especially how to convey my hope for the result of the changes. So I'll start with some feedback from members. We surveyed our members and we asked them, what are the strengths of RSD? And they responded strongly and unequivocally. Teachers are focused on what's best for kids. Staff who work together are open-minded. Teachers truly care about supporting students. We used to be more of a community hub, and we used to have smaller class sizes and more personalized relationships between staff, students, and families. We still have some of that, but I'd like to help bring more of it back. We have many wonderful families, dedicated teachers, loyal, prideful staff, resilient staff, growth mindset, our focus on students, great building teams, student-focused teachers, supportive specialists, a feeling of community. People want to stay, not just another employee. I could go on, but I think you get the point. When I met with Dr. Beckman yesterday, as I do each month for contract maintenance, she shared her knowledge about possible upcoming cuts from the state funding, which she talked about tonight, and what that could mean for our district. She also shared that she always recommends to you that we should staff based on student needs and not based solely on FTE per student provided by the state. Please keep this in mind while moving forward with the budget and into bargaining with REA and RESP this spring. We need more staff in the buildings to really make the best impact moving forward for our students and for our staff. Finally, when doing the difficult and very important job of hiring a new superintendent, please remember who we are as a district, what we hold as values, what makes us great, our strengths, and our small and cohesive community. Dive deep into the candidates, trust and listen to the staff, students, and family opinions about who they believe would best fit. Choosing someone who understands a small rural community with all the challenges that come with it will be important to lead us. Someone who has a big picture plan with forward thinking, a leader we can trust and work alongside to bring Rochester School District into the next phase. Thank you, and I look forward to working along with my bargaining team to come to an agreeable, fair contract, working with my REA members and the district to help pass the special levy, and do my best to support and participate fully in the process of hiring our new superintendent. We really do want to work collaboratively.
Thank you.
Dan.
Okay, Ms. Andrea, go ahead and start the slide.
Get out for you.
Okay, I'm not even gonna open the book. I'm Dan Ketter. I wanted to create, basically to kind of advocate with the rest of the parents specific to safety with the Rochester Middle School athletic field. Over the last few years, it's been pretty evident that the field conditions are in really, really rough, poor shape. Mr. Urick was gracious enough to reach out to me. We weren't able to connect, but I do appreciate the fact that he took the time to reach out to me and try to have conversation, let me know what we're doing. But from a safety side, there's a lot of parents that are concerned. I know, sports isn't everything. We want to provide good education, but the safety is real to a lot of the parents. And so I just wanted to be able to advocate because there's more than just one or two parents that are concerned about their kids' health. Injuries is part of it. I grew up with injuries. It's part of sports. But just being able to make sure that the voice of parents is heard and what we can do to just make sure that our field is safe. The last thing that I was going to add to it as well that I think is important is I've only lived here since 2019. So I have a perspective of 7 years. My wife started at kindergarten, graduated from Rochester, like she lives and breathes Rochester. It's really painful in a sense when we go outside in sports, whether it's baseball, soccer, we go up to Tumwater, we go down south. When people ask where we're from and they see Rochester, they literally refer to the facilities being so bad, they don't even want to come to Rochester. And so it's tough for people that grew up here to hear that because, we want to represent Rochester the best we can. And we want to be able to have a community where people want to thrive and they want to come here. And in a 7-year span, I would say that something to really look into is there's a reason why at the high school level, sometimes things struggle a little bit. I've seen a lot of kids departing and going elsewhere. And I know it shouldn't be about sports, but it's happening right at that 7th grade mark where kids that are really starting to thrive and they could really impact this community for the best and they're leaving. And it's just something that probably has to be looked at because at that middle school level, it's taking place and then it affects everybody else that's just really trying to put their best effort. And from somebody that still wants to be competitive, it's tough to see the morale on the kids that put everything they have 110% into it. It's not all about winning, but when you have multiple years where you can't even scratch a win, the morale is really tough. So I appreciate the time. Hopefully there's something that we can kind of.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you. Any others online? Okay, that concludes comments. We do have an executive session.
How long do we need?
Probably 45 minutes to 60.
45, and then you can call for another 15 if you need it.
Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back for executive session, 45 minutes. You expect to come back at 8:45.
Sorry, my battery. I was going to ask you that.
I'm glad to come back and actually.
I know.
All right, Mr. Chairman, it is 8:46. We're out of executive session. I'll hand the meeting back over to you.
All right, thank you. Finish executive session, no action taken. We will formally close the meeting. Thank you.